Hey, welcome back to the OverlandSite channel. This is the third episode in the vlog series and hopefully the last one that is recorded here. The next one will be recorded on the road. A lot of the stuff that I mentioned earlier in the previous episodes have been completed, such as the van is fixed now, or we had a little problem with the rear brakes. That is fixed. There was an oil leak at the rear right wheel and that got fixed. The whole set of the rear brakes were renewed and replaced, so that's all done. And we've also done some basic maintenance stuff like the differential oil, the transfer case oil, and the gearbox oil was changed. The engine oil has been changed a few months ago. I'm going to do it myself, or I'm going to get it done in Canada. The next one, there's a few thousand miles left until we have to change it, so I'm just going to get it done there. Whether it's me or at a service station, we will see. I don't know. But the main parts, also the V-belt was replaced. And we had some issues with that because even though it was changed at a professional garage, it was still squeaking. It was making noise. So I had to adjust it myself. So the generator had to be moved so that the belt is tightened properly. It wasn't done properly, which is very surprising. But it is what it is. I learned a lot in the process when I was actually fixing it, and my dad helped me a lot with that. We were actually under the bonnet trying to figure out what we need to do, and it's fairly simple. Obviously, it's just a V-belt, but I learned so much on how to handle stuff with this specific vehicle. Also, because we had to wait for quite a long time until some parts arrived for the brake renovation or the replacement. We had much less time to actually pack and clean and prepare the truck for the trip. It was quite a manic 3 days. Cleaning it, Evelyn's done all the cleaning and all the packing. I just brought all the stuff to her and then she organized everything inside. Also, it's a kind of packing that is for the shipping only. When the truck arrives and we clear customs and everything in Canada, then we're going to actually organize again everything inside so that we know where our stuff is. Now everything is sort of locked away in cabinets and under the seats, so that apparently, unfortunately, some theft happens every now and then on these shipping routes. Not between Halifax and or Hamburg and Halifax mainly, but in general theft can happen, so it's best to stow away everything that you have in a vehicle like that. What we also try to do is make it a bit more difficult for people to steal in case anybody gets inside the van. That can happen in the port or on the boat or when it arrives in the other port as well. Nobody knows, obviously nobody's taking responsibility. It's not the responsibility of the shipping company, because once we organize everything through them, it's sort of out of their hands. It goes onto the ship and stays in the port somewhere. So it's a complicated procedure and you just have to be careful. So we locked stuff away. I also put some seal over the cupboards. The one we don't actually have locks on the cabinets inside. So it's sort of I put some rudimentary seals on top of the cabinets to see if anything happened once we arrive. This is not going to stop anybody from stealing anything, but at least I'm going to see if anybody's opened them. As far as I know, as far as I found out, the customs doesn't usually go through the motorhomes. So when it's already in Canada and customs wants to check whether we have any items that are not allowed, then obviously they will open stuff. But that's a different thing. Obviously that's totally fine. But maybe these seals and the wire that we fixed over some openable cabinets and storage areas, that's going to make theft a little bit more difficult, so that's why we've done it. Otherwise, it's not actually going to stop anybody from stealing anything, but it makes it more difficult and it makes it visible. So that's all done, but the packing is all done, that's very good. Some last bits of fixing stuff to the truck, such as the holder for the tread, recovery tracks. Also, our water tank was cleaned a little bit with some chemicals. And yeah, just little bits are all fixed and it's all packed. And furthermore, we actually took the truck, my dad and myself, we actually drove the truck to Hamburg. It took us about 3.5 days to get there. No, about 2.5 days to get there and then 1 day to get back. But We didn't take highways, motorways. We just took the normal roads, and we took our time, and the truck behaved perfectly. There was a little light for the power steering fluid that came on, which first I didn't actually know what it was. Some friends online helped us to find out what that light is. I knew it's got something to do with hydraulics, but then I found out it was confirmed that it's for the power steering. So even if that fails, which doesn't have any signs of failing, that's still okay for me. I mean, it's still drivable, it's still fine. It can be fixed at a later point, but it's not a showstopper. And I actually think that it's just a sensor. There's no problem with the system itself, it's just a sensor. But other than that, there was nothing that concerned me. It was performing really well. I checked the oil level at the end after about 800 miles from here, Budapest to Hamburg. And the oil level was the same, the engine oil, just as when we left. So that's just really surprising, and it's very good for such an old engine, and it's a van engine. And I'm really happy with that. And other than that, driving it on rural roads and just, it was a long distance drive for such a short period of time. It was a good test to see how it behaves. Of course, we've done trips before last year and stuff, but this was the kind of, proof. It was working from 8 in the morning until sort of 6 in the evening, constantly, and it was fine. It was totally fine. We had a lot of questions about why we are taking such an old truck, why it's not a newer one. I always say that it's because we chose such an old truck because it can be fixed anywhere in the world, because still it's an old type of mechanical truck, and there is no electronics, there is no complicated parts that you can just replace and not fix. On this truck, touch wood, everything can be fixed if somebody knows how to fix it. You don't need a computer, that's my point. So we drove it to the port. We're using Overlander Shipping, this company. This is their actual name, overlander-shipping.com. You can see it on the screen. They are a shipping agent, and Ricardo is such a nice guy, and he arranged everything for us, made it very smooth. This is Ricardo, and he's helping me with the shipping. So actually he's arranging the whole thing. We had to take it to Hamburg. In Hamburg, he was waiting for us, and everything went really smoothly. We had to pick up some paperwork from the local office at the port, and I just drove the truck in among all the new cars that are being shipped overseas. I just parked my truck, and I thought it was going to be unique, me driving this old truck inside the port and parking it for it to be shipped at a later point, which is hopefully going to be tomorrow, on the 1st or 2nd April. But basically I thought I was going to be the only one with such a vehicle. But then I found out, because I had to park next to them, there was another 5 vehicles like mine. So Mercedes Sprinters and Renaults and other type of overland or just motorhomes that are all waiting to be shipped. I think the Alaska-Argentina route is just going to be packed this year. So we will see. Anyway, it's very exciting. I can't wait to meet people on the road, because I love just traveling with somebody else for a couple of days here, a couple of days there. It's such a great way to make new friends and meet people, really cool people. So I'm really looking forward to that. I actually like the idea that a lot of people are going to do the same route. It's still not going to be crowded. It's still a huge distance. It's still a huge place. So it's not that I'm afraid it's going to be too touristy. It's not. But having a couple of beers with somebody else around a campfire is just fantastic. Okay, so that's all done. What we also done, and I mentioned this before, we went on to a self-defense course, and that was, and I emphasize this, we are not looking for trouble. We are not looking for dangerous places. We didn't do this course because we are actually expecting trouble. We just think that the more we prepare, the better. So that's why we've done the first aid course as well. This is another type of protection for us. Most of the time we're going to be alone. We're going to go through a lot of remote places. Who knows what happens? It's not even the remote places that are dangerous, if they are dangerous, if there are dangerous places at all where we're going. It's more like when we are going through touristy areas, or we come across a couple of drunk people who might not be too friendly. But this never happened to us. So I'm not saying that you need to do this, these courses, these self-defense courses or martial arts stuff when you embark on a trip like this. I'm not saying that at all, because nothing has ever happened to us. touch wood, nothing's going to happen to us. But we just wanted to prepare. We learned some basic techniques of how to protect yourself, how to avoid situations. Once you are in a situation, how to push somebody away and basically run away. That's the goal, to get away from trouble, avoid trouble, and then if you're in trouble, how to protect yourself. And we learned some really cool techniques and a really good insight on how you need to protect yourself. I'm really happy that we're preparing from this perspective as well. What we need to do now is just wait another week and we are going to be on the flight to Canada, which is extremely exciting. But what I still need to do is we found some options for travel insurance and health insurance on the road. We need to fix that. But other than that, now we are going to meet friends and family, saying goodbyes, which is a horrible part, to be honest. But just wrapping things up, because we might not see most people for a year and a half. And that's where we are now. And we'll update you next time from Canada. But in the meantime, follow us on Instagram. That's where most of the updates are going to be. We are experimenting with TikTok and other platforms as well, but I just don't know how they work. So Instagram and YouTube is probably going to be the best one to follow us on. So see you there.